everybody in our company, we work hard to make sure they've got someone to back them up so that they can take the time in what we call go dark. You got to recharge and refresh.
I love nothing more than watching people grow.
How is it for your team transitioning, from obviously working in the office, all being together, collaborating, to then, being apart for, what's been over a year now? And how have they been able to adjust? How have you been able to help them adjust to, working from home and not being able to be with each other one-on-one in that, collaborative environment?
I think the key for us is just being there and having some empathy, and just, when March and April hit and people were so fearful, nobody knew what was going on, and it felt like the world was, going to explode. I mean, it was a scary time. We were there for our people, constantly on the phone, on Zoom, checking in, seeing how people were doing, how their family life was, how their stress levels were. And, there's some gifts, as I said, from this pandemic. It used to be that we'd gather in person in a daily huddle meeting. And in fact, I'm doing one right after this, 10:55 every single day. We run this huddle. And I thought, when the pandemic hit and we started to port things over to Zoom, I'm like, this is going to last a week. No one's going to want to be on Zoom and do our huddle meeting. And it actually surprisingly is better than in person, because instead of being one person on stage presenting huddle and sort of running the crowd like a little show, normally if you're in the audience, you see everybody's backs. On Zoom, you see hundreds of people's faces, their smiles. The people that were introverted, that didn't like to speak up at huddle and raise their hand with questions or good news to share, are now putting it in the chat. So it somehow has actually worked out to be more engaging to do it over Zoom. Now, again, I miss the days of being in person and being able to walk over to someone's desk and tap them on the shoulder and say, hey, what's going on? Or I got a question about this. But we've been able to make it work. We had to take our call center. So one thing we provide for all our franchise owners, we do all the booking and dispatch for them. All the calls come into our central sales center where we do the booking and dispatch for all brands. We found that we had to take all our call center agents when the office shut down and move them to work from home. So to be able to take 5,000 phone calls that used to be in person in a sales center and move them all the way to people's homes was a big challenge. But hey, at least during this pandemic versus the one in 1918, we've got technology that's been able to keep us going.
That's right. I agree 100%. I think that's the beautiful thing of the era that we live in. It's the resources, the abundance of resources that we have to be able to just keep on going and thriving, and letting us know that we have more than enough to be able to just keep winning. Now, I want to ask you, productivity-wise, have you seen a huge level in productivity in your employees, in your team, now working from home versus when they were in home? In office. Not saying that they weren't productive, but did you see just a different level of productivity, or do you see that it's still important for them to say, hey, eventually we want to come back into the office?
Yeah, it's a different level of productivity. I mean, people are productive, but I wouldn't say they're necessarily more productive. You need to be able to plan your time. So you've got family, you've got kids, you've got things running around at home. It feels like there's less downtime. It used to be that I'd go to work and I would work hard, and then I'd come home and I'd play hard. Well, now it's, for everybody, I think, sort of intermingling the two. I'll have a meeting and then I'll run upstairs and quickly get myself some lunch, or run upstairs and help my kid with a question or something they need. It's different than it used to be. And I think it's a lot of go, stop, go, stop type mentality. I don't know if we're more productive. In fact, I question if we're maybe less productive. People are making better use of the time they have, but at other times, people aren't able to shut down during the pandemic. So what I find is, where I used to just take my phone and on weekends turn off all my email completely, it's easier for people to go, well, I'm at home all day, every day, 7 days a week. I might as well still do some work and be distracted. And I think people want distractions. So we're working very hard to say to our people, you got to find a way to turn off. And so a little trick that I do, and I'm very fortunate I have an assistant, but when people have a friend or a family member that can do this, when I go away on vacation, 4 weeks, take time away, or 2 weeks, whatever it is, I get my assistant to change my passcodes on my email and my social media. And I just leave it. And I'm like, you know what? I got someone there to back me up. everybody in our company, we work hard to make sure they've got someone to back them up so that they can take the time in what we call go dark. You got to recharge and refresh, especially now.